If your facial redness is bothering you, I interviewed 2 different medical professionals this week, and this is what they told me will help. If you haven't seen one of my videos before, I'm Rose, I'm a journalist and content creator, and I love talking about redness. I've written about my own rosacea lots of times, and I'm really lucky that in my line of work I get to speak to experts all the time. If you're struggling with your skin in any way, it isn't always the quickest process to get a referral to a dermatologist, and it can be really expensive to see one privately. So I really love being able to make videos, and then if I've spoken to someone great, I can pass on what they've told me and kind of be the middleman to give you the information, but you haven't had to pay for it. The thing with watching a video is it doesn't replace the need for a proper one-to-one with a medical professional, and if you are struggling with your skin, that is the first thing I'd always encourage you to have. But at the very least, it might just be helpful, it might give you some ideas, you might recognise things that I'm talking about that you also experience, and you can use all these things as a starting point before you figure out your next steps. Now, the feature I was researching when I did these interviews was actually about anti-redness as a whole rather than specifically rosacea, and there are so many different things that can make your skin red. So first of all, let me introduce you to who I spoke to, and then I'll tell you what they told me. First of all, I spoke to Dr. Justine Hextall. She has been a consultant dermatologist within the NHS for 20 years at University Hospital Sussex, and she also has her own clinic, the Tarrant Street Clinic, which she opened in 2017. I've interviewed Justine for lots of features, and what I love about her is she takes a really holistic approach to managing redness. She really looks into gut health. She also monitors sleep, looks at stress, factors in UV protection, and she really paints a whole picture before she starts to treat someone. She also works with Boots and trains pharmacists across the country so that they can give you skincare advice, but also recommend topical skin treatments that are maybe prescription strength to manage things like acne, rosacea and eczema. So she really is across the board helping to give people that medical knowledge at every single price and touch point. And I also spoke to Dr. Ifeoma Ejikeme. She's a medical consultant with a special interest in dermatology. She works for the NHS at UCLH, and you can also see her privately at the Adonia Clinic. She offers a range of treatments across skin, hair and the body in her clinic. So first of all, I wanted to know what causes facial redness. So Dr. Ifeoma told me that facial redness is caused by a dilation of the superficial facial vessels, and that the trigger for this can be lots of different things. For some people, it's quite simply genetics and they're that bit more prone to redness. For others, it's things like hormonal shifts, maybe if you enter the menopause, or even skin conditions, like in my case with the rosacea. Skin irritation can be a factor, causing things like dermatitis or hives, and facial flushing can be caused by things like exercise, alcohol, even temperature changes or emotions. So now that we know what causes it, I wanted to know if it could be reduced, and they both absolutely agreed that yes, you can reduce your redness. And Dr. Justine said you absolutely can reduce it, but it's worth looking at the whole package in order to do that. She looks at things like gut health, barrier strength and UV exposure when she assesses people in her clinic. And she said she always asks them about their routine as a whole in case there's an allergy or something is causing irritation at some point. She also pointed out that some people just have rosy cheeks, but in other people, if they have more reactive skin, that can cause vascular changes, and those people are really good candidates for laser therapy. That might work quite well for them. She said that she finds that when you address all of those causes, then you can find a sustainable solution. Now, interestingly, my next question to them both was, what would an ideal skincare routine look like in this case? And they pretty much gave me a word for word similar answer. Both of them said you should start your routine with a gentle cleanser. And Dr. Justine went on to say a gentle cleanser won't leave your skin feeling tight. Someone said this to me the other day. I was saying how much I like a cream cleanser, and they said, oh, but my skin never feels clean after that. But interestingly, like with managing redness, that's not necessarily the goal. We want it to feel comfortable rather than this like tight, squeaky clean feeling. They both agreed that after your cleanser, a serum should follow. Dr. Justine suggested a hydrating serum and something with a humectant in it to draw moisture to the skin. And Dr. Ifeoma suggested a targeted redness serum, so looking out for ingredients like azelaic acid, green tea extract and allantoin that will calm the skin over time. She also said after this, look for a moisture moisturiser that contains ceramides, and both of them agreed that SPF is essential, in particular an SPF that gives you UVA and UVB broad spectrum collection. An easy way to remember it that I picked up in Caroline Hyron's skincare book is that UVA is going to protect against aging and UVB will protect against burning. And thinking of all these things that they suggested, a hydrating cleanser, moisturiser containing ceramides, using SPF every day, if you wanted to put together a really affordable routine for yourself as a starting point, a brand that immediately comes to mind is CeraVe. They make everything formulated with ceramides, but they also use ingredients like niacinamide that are going to help to strengthen the skin barrier. And just in general, if you wanted somewhere to begin that was going to be affordable and easy to implement, that would be a great brand to be looking at. I appreciate that for whatever reason you might not be able to stretch to something new at the moment. So the last thing I wanted to know is if they had any holistic tips for managing redness. What can you do without spending a penny that's going to make a really big difference? Now, Dr. Justine reminded me of this tip that she told me years ago. This is one of the best tips I've ever received for managing my redness. And she said, if you apply your moisturiser before you get in the shower, you're preventing further moisture loss, which will in turn help to prevent exposing that delicate facial skin to the hot temperatures in the shower. And Dr. Ifeoma suggested having a look at your diet. She said in particular in people with rosacea, which is absolutely true of me, if you kind of keep an eye on your food and then look at your skin, you might identify triggers and notice that when you eat one thing, it causes your skin to flush or maybe come out a bit more red. So by learning and monitoring those triggers, you can eliminate the things that might tend to flare it up a bit more. She said things to look at, because they tend to affect more people, are things like spicy food, alcohol and caffeine. She also said that stress management can be huge in helping to reduce redness, in particular in people with rosacea. She said things like meditation, breath work, and just keeping really good sleep hygiene can be really helpful. I really hope these tips were helpful and that maybe they're going to be a good starting point in helping you to reduce your redness. And I just wanted to tell you, I'm going to submit this video into these skincare awards that I've seen CeraVe hosting. Obviously, I mentioned earlier on that if you're looking for a good affordable routine for redness, I think it's a really good brand. And I noticed that they have this awards live, so I hope you don't mind. I'm going to hijack my own video to enter. But basically they're looking for skin experts and they want to recognise them. And I would really love to put myself forward to be recognised, because I really love making these kind of longer videos about redness. I feel like in today's climate, especially as a content creator, all of the guidance and advice is about doing things as quickly as possible and trying to go viral and making these quick moments or quick transformations that are just going to catch someone's eye and stop them from scrolling. But actually, when it comes to skin, it's not something that you can consolidate into a small clip, and everything is so nuanced and so personal. And I really hope that by keeping it with my page, you can have a bit more of a long chat and that I'm just giving you ideas to help manage things. And one of the reasons I'd really love to be kind of recognised by CeraVe in these skin awards is I feel like I share a similar goal with them. They are all about kind of sharing expert knowledge, and they're so linked with all their derms in everything that they do. And I always try my best to back everything up that I'm trying to share from a redness or rosacea point of view with tips from derms. And I feel like that's a really nice thing about social media. It's not always easy to have access to these kinds of people, so those of us that have access should be sharing it. And I hope that they might think that like I'm doing my bit to do that as well, and it'd be really lovely to be recognised for sharing lots of information about my skin condition, because hopefully someone that has the same thing will see it and learn something from it. And another thing that I would love to just in a way be recognised for, like for example, I know the light is terrible this evening. I know it's not my biggest like masterpiece of a video, plane going past, you know, it's not a studio setup. But I think when you are sharing really valuable information, you don't have to be the most beautiful, you don't need loads of fancy clothes, you don't need like all of this stuff. Really, it's all about getting the important knowledge across. And so I would rather have shared that with you after I've had 1,000,001 other things to do today. That's exactly why I am the perfect person to share it with you, because probably in all those 1,000,001 things, which is why I'm only making this video in the evening and it's dark, that time that I spent doing all of that is probably where I learned the stuff that makes a more valuable video. So just getting ahead of any judge that might think her video is terrible quality, I agree, but hopefully you learn something and we can all brush past it. But listen, thank you so much for watching. Those interviews were for a feature that I've written about loads of anti-redness solutions. As soon as that's live, I'll share it. Please wish me luck for these awards. I'll keep you posted if I hear anything back. And one last thing, PS, I've made a separate rosacea TikTok page because I'm aware that I also love talking about makeup and lots of different things on my channels. If you just want somewhere for my rosacea videos and none of the other stuff, that's called Rosacea Talk, all one word, and that's literally just a place for rosacea chats. So you might find that a nice place to have a little mooch as well. And I put lots of videos there that aren't on my other platforms, just kind of more quick fire Q&A style things. So I'd love to have you over there too. Have a lovely evening and I'll chat to you soon.